Hey everybody, welcome to Wow! How did that happen? All of a sudden I went back in time. That was beautiful, Evan. Hey everybody, welcome to the Tesla Life, episode 43. My name is Russell Frost. I am your host for this evening, but luckily for you and luckily for me, I have two of my favorite Tesla Life panelists here. My wingman on the show, he is, he's wearing Tesla red. Mr. Mark Coughlin.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. We've got a ton of news, and we have a new audio engineer. Evan is our new girl.
Sorry about that, guys. Yes.
No, that was beautiful. I have no idea what you did, so I'll have to talk after the show so you can tell me. And the man who can add echo and reverb to our show. He has two Teslas in his driveway. We call him Dr. Evan Fusco.
Hey, everybody. How y'all doing? Glad to be on tonight.
Or the guy that screws up the audio.
Sorry.
That was very entertaining, Evan. I have to say.
Gotta mute my machine here before we.
I have to mute things too. So as Mark said, we have a ton of news. Let's just jump right into it. Mark has the first story about an over-the-air update.
Exactly. Just recently, Tesla released another OTA, over-the-air update, and this one was for security code or security keys. So with the Model 3, you know that you can have your phone be the key to the car. Now, that does present a problem if you lose your phone, or if you get a new phone, or if someone has the key on their phone that you don't want them to anymore. So now with this over-the-air update, users can go into a main menu through the car, access who has the security codes based on the telephone number, and they can either add, edit, or delete people that have those keys on those phones from the car. Oh, cool. So now you don't have to be concerned that if you lose your phone, someone else has a key to your car. It can now you can just get into, well, I guess you have to get into the car with your credit card key, and then access that menu and delete the old telephone number so that code disappears from that phone at that point, or becomes inactive, so it doesn't use the unlock features or the start features of that key code. So surprising that wasn't thought of before. I think that that's pretty obvious about people switching phones or losing phones, but glad that they sent the update recently. So everyone now does not have fear of losing those phones with the car's key inside of the phone and kept inside. So, yeah. But that's kind of again, one of the beautiful things about Tesla cars is that over-the-air update, that they can come back with a quick fix and implement it to anybody they want rather quickly. So that's a huge plus. So again, it's happened again, and it's shown how the OTA in action works very well.
Those darn Tesla elves. Evan, I'm just curious as an S and X owner. So you hear about something like this with the 3. I mean, is this functionality because you have to use fobs for both your cars, right?
You don't have to. We've got the phone app access as well.
Oh, okay.
We can use that. But I don't believe this update applied to the S and X. Which is
just 3.
Yeah, that's kind of curious. So makes me interested to know how the security system works. The access works differently on the 3. Maybe
you already have that on S and X.
I don't think so.
No?
I've never seen the ability to manage the keys before.
Huh, interesting.
It's not on there now. But we do know that the car recognizes the different keys because when I get in, at least for my wife's Model X, the S doesn't do it. I don't think. Hell, I don't know. But I know that the X, when I get in, I approach the car and I'm the first one in the car. It adjusts the seats and mirrors and steering wheel and all that to my personal settings. And then when my wife gets in it adjusts it for her. So we know that it recognizes the different keys. But I've never seen any way to look at what keys are out there or what apps or anything.
Interesting.
Right. Right. And then another story based on that is I've heard there's been some issues with Model 3 owners when they have a garage that protrudes into their house. When people are walking around, in their living space with their phone in their pocket, sometimes the car thinks they're approaching the doors and it unlocks and the mirrors fold out and it gets ready for someone to get into the car. But obviously they're inside the house still. They're not approaching the car. So Tesla's working on something that it hasn't been released yet about there's got to be some sort of proximity or a period of time before the car unlocks if the car happens to be in a garage that's attached inside of a house. So wow. Another unique situation that has happened with a number of the owners out there now.
Right. Well, I think our next news story involves SpaceX, Mark.
It does. Remember last week we talked a little bit about the SpaceX catcher's mitt that they have placed on a boat. So they did go out to attempt a catch of a fairing from a rocket. And, well, let me just share the photo here so you can get an idea as to, because the rig looks pretty interesting that they have this on.
That's an understatement.
And so there it is on the back of a ship. You can see that they've got the four arms with a mesh netting strung between them. And how this apparently works is, as Evan explained in our last show, is as the fairing drops through the Earth's atmosphere, it does have some thrusters to push it into the general direction. And then there's a parachute that launches from the fairing, and it floats down, and the ship hopefully is underneath it at the time. Well, this is what happened. And you can see that it didn't quite make it into the catcher's mitt. So the fairing happened to land without damage with the parachute and was floating on the water surface. And they were able to recover it and save themselves $3 million because every half fairing is worth $3 million. Wow. Hence why they've developed the catcher's mitt. It makes complete sense. But they weren't able to catch it this time, but apparently they're going to have another chance to do that in under a month. So they're going to try it again.
So unfortunately, I don't think they're actually going to save the $3 million. Everything I was able to read is that once it hits the salt water, it's done for. And they're not able to refurb and use it, hence the need for the catcher's mitt. Otherwise, they could just land them all in the ocean and retrieve them. But yeah, that they won't be able to reuse that, unfortunately. But Elon had tweeted that they got within about 200 meters of catching it, which, considering the size of the ocean, I guess that's not too bad. And that the plan is for a bigger parachute on the next attempt.
Okay. More target.
Here's my thought, though. Taking a look at the picture of the boat, if it misses the net and smashes into the cabin, isn't that going to be a serious issue? Like, I'm wondering if the captain goes down below as they approach to receive.
Yeah, because you'd almost...
Well, there's some kind of structure on the back.
There is some sort of an arch here. Yeah. But still, it looks like the front is kind of open.
Yeah, it sure does. Ouch. I'm sorry, and is this like the perfect James Bond villain? Am I the only one thinking this, looking at that going, oh, please, it's Stavro Blofeld and Disco Valente.
I am expecting to see that volcano island in the distance, but...
Exactly.
The fake volcano island, yes.
Yeah.
So that's
not cool. Lava, that's pudding. Well, so SpaceX almost got it, and they'll hopefully hopefully be able to get that soon. Probably. This stuff takes
just fun watching this stuff, though. Like, absolutely. It's incredible. It's incredible that this stuff is being attempted, and it's great fun to watch and find out what the results are. So we'll watch for the next one, I'm sure.
And without going too retro, those of us that grew up with the NASA space program and watching that, and we don't get that anymore. You know what I mean? We're totally robbed. So, and at least, I mean, we're doing really cool stuff. Those two rockets coming down at the same time. Oh my God, that just tripped every overload in my little brain.
That was like another James Bond scene for sure.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
The James Bond movies are going to have to step up their game.
That's right.
We've seen that.
Yeah. Whatever.
Well, our next story comes from a note that was sent out to a number of non-Tesla owners last Thursday. And a number of emails went out about configuration of the Model 3. So this is the first batch of non-Tesla owners that have received their configuration emails or notifications that they can now configure their car. Now, the car is, the Model 3, of course, is the same configuration that's been released to everyone else to this point. So there are no changes. You're still looking at the longer range battery. You're looking at the premium upgrade package, which adds another $14,000 to the car. But the significance here, obviously, is that these are now non-Tesla owners in the US that have been getting notifications. And what was interesting to see was that it was across the entire US. It wasn't just California. There were Connecticut, there were Florida, there were Texas, there were Kansas. It was all across. So people started to get these notifications. And it seems, it's not confirmed, but it does seem that the people that are getting these notifications are people that were people standing in line. So it hasn't been confirmed that some people are getting them that were maybe used the internet to submit it. That hasn't been confirmed yet, but there are some speculations. And just before we started the show here today, on our Twitter feed, we did get notification again that another batch has been released. And again, non-owners have started to receive these emails again on this Wednesday.
Wow.
So if you're out there and you have a reservation, please check your Tesla application as well as your email and see if you have received one. And certainly let us know if you've gotten one. We'd love to hear from you. You can connect to our Twitter feed at The Tesla Life, and you can also follow us on our YouTube channel that you're watching on now. Please press that subscribe button, and you'll be notified of new shows as they start. If you had already connected to it that way today, you would get a notification. So let us know. We're excited too. So watching these configuration emails roll out is great fun.
So I've got a couple comments on this. So one is I've got a friend here that was a first day line waiter in person that had, at least before today, had still not gotten his invitation to configure. So it's interesting to, but there are others in the state that have gotten them. So I'm not quite sure how they're exactly doling these out. We're obviously not in an area that's close to a sales center or service center just yet. But anyway, he hadn't gotten his, and he was a very early line waiter. Second comment is just something to speculate on. If they're already sending out reservations to non-employee, non-current owner, and our VIN numbers are still well under 10,000, are there 190,000 current owners that are all waiting for the dual motor or the short range battery? Or were there very, very few reservations from current owners? It's kind of interesting because I guess I would have expected, a lot of current owner reservations, maybe in the 100,000 range. I guess randomly guessing a number.
Thank you. That I was thinking the same thing.
I really think that it has something to do with the extra $14,000. Like it really, people, again, this car is being adopted by the masses, and of course there are price point issues with people that have set down a reservation. They know that the $35,000 amount that has been quoted since the start of this campaign is something that they could possibly achieve or get to, but you turn around and you add 50% to that, and it's like a lot of people stand back and say, hey, hold on, I wasn't expecting a $50,000 car. I was looking for the $35,000 car.
So I would agree with you, except that these are current S and X owners that have already doled out a lot of money, and apparently, most of us are not going to be that concerned about an extra $20,000.
Really?
I don't know. I don't know if that's the case.
Really?
Maybe. Well,
because if it is the case, then you're right. Where are the extra orders? How come we're not over 10,000 at this point?
Yeah.
And maybe it is that it's that. But again, is all-wheel drive all that important in this Southern California?
Right.
It is to people who want the range.
Not okay. It's a little bit more range with the dual motor, but it's not much.
10%, right?
Yeah, about 10%.
So we're talking maybe 30 miles. I mean, I get it.
If I was concerned about range, I'd be getting the long range battery.
Right.
Like it wouldn't make sense for me to be looking for 10% more.
I'm a dual motor.
It's like why would I bother? Because of course the second motor is going to cost more money. It's not going to cost as much as the long range battery. The price hasn't been set yet, but there's speculation that the second motor is about $4,000. So, and again, that's speculation. But again, that you get that 310 miles with the long range battery. That's $9,000. It.
So 2 anecdotes on that. 0100 in the chat room is a current owner, has an invite, and he's waiting for a dual motor, and as am I. So we represent the entirety of the rest of the population that hasn't configured yet.
Two.
Yeah, I think that's an adequate end.
That's all you need is two two between 400,000. Yeah.
And then I'll also add that Bruno Alves, a regular in our chat room, has gotten his invitation and has configured, and he's from Connecticut. And Derek Ludwig in the chat room has just checked and has not had an invite yet. And he lives near Fremont. Made his reservation on May 18th though, so he was a little late to the party.
Yeah, a little late. He wasn't day one.
Can I toss a joker into this otherwise reasonable poker game? Has anyone done any of the reading about the is it an 8K filing or a 10K filing that Tesla just did? I want to say it's a 10K, but for some reason, so this is something that Tesla's required to do by the FEC because they're a publicly held company and they have to just disclose things and they have to talk about what they're doing, right? There was some very interesting language changes in this most recent filing, and one of them regards the Model 3. Mark's looking down like he knows where I'm going with this.
I have no idea where you're going.
One of them, so again, and this is one interpretation, but the interpretation that I read was that this new filing and this updated language makes it very clear that the Model 3, the $35,000 Model 3 is a variant, is just one model, and that it's a big change from the way they described the vehicle before as being a $35,000 base price vehicle. Now they're talking about the $35,000 Model 3 being one variant that they will eventually produce, which is psychologically.
So they've backed off on the throttle from previous publications.
Which dovetails with Evan's point about more money. Maybe some people are getting a little touchy. I don't know. A lot of speculation. This is a lot of speculation. I'm not necessarily trying to make a point other than to bring it up because I do think it's important in this discussion of how did we get here so quickly? Because I'm kind of surprised too.
But what I mean, and again, 010 in the chat room is saying the same thing. How is this news? Of course, it's a variant. So is the dual motor a variant. So is the long range battery a variant. They're all variants. I don't.
You might be overparsing my badly made point. My apologies. But the point as I read it, and you know what, I promise, I'll tell you what, I'll flush this out more next week so that we can go over the exact language. But the difference in the language was a car that has a base price of $35,000, then you add on other features. The new language made it more like this is a much more expensive car that also has a cheaper version, which may be available at some point in the future.
Hmm.
Does that make sense? I don't want to make the point too hard, but I thought it was interesting. And again, maybe some people are a little price skittish. I don't know. I mean, certainly with 400,000 reservations, we all knew, right? That's an insane number. We all knew that wasn't going to all happen.
Yeah.
So,
well,
of course,
it'll be interesting. Like that's Tesla has apparently said, well, they are realigning themselves to release this car in Canada 6 months early. And I got to believe, since they have all the reservations and they have people's primary selection already, I got to believe that there's a lot of Canadians waiting for the long-range battery and the premium package. And that's part of the reason that they're releasing it. It also may be because of the tax break in the U.S. They're trying to save up a number of different tax space availability. If they sell it to Canada, it's not counted as U.S. sales, and therefore that 200,000 number stays safe for a little bit longer. There's also been the rumor, Evan, as you know, about the Model S and the X. People that are ordering it today, there's now a bit of a wait. It's into June. And people are going, why is there a wait? Tesla has turned around and said it's because of demand. And it's like, is there that much more demand for S and X's that there's now an extra 3 months to get those vehicles? There's a lot of moving parts going on here. And some are speculating that Tesla is shuffling the deck to try to get the most out of that $7,500 US tax credit that they can before the phase out begins. So again, speculation, but interesting that S and X now have been delayed about 3 months, where previously you could get them in the time frame of 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Let me quote the 10K filing that this came from. This is the updated language. Quote, Model 3 is our third generation electric vehicle. We began deliveries in July 2017. Model 3 is produced at the Tesla factory in Fremont, California, and at Giga Factory 1. We will offer a variant of this vehicle at a starting price of $35,000 and expect to produce Model 3 vehicles at a far higher volumes than our Model S or Model X vehicles. This differs from the earlier language, which described the Model 3 as a $35,000 mass market vehicle.
So it's cleared up the language about what it is.
I mean, and I don't know that I'm not saying there's anything bad. I'm not commenting on this other than to say it seems like Tesla, and there's other comments about this 10K filing that are interesting in light of this, but that Tesla's viewing this differently than they did before. That this isn't this isn't the mass market, everybody, the, $30,000 ish car. It's the $50,000 or $60,000 car that's going to eventually have a cheaper version.
Right. Which is where we're at today. The expensive versions are the ones that are being sold and offered.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
yeah.
I don't know. I think it's too much being read into that.
Sure. Absolutely. I mean, and that's, yes, I wouldn't argue with that, Evan. I wouldn't argue with that. Let's move on.
Can I actually go back in time just a little bit again?
Yeah.
One of our chat room folks kind of explained the key issue for the Model 3, and the way the key works is very different than the traditional transmitter type fob that we have with the S and X, and the way that the app works uses the Tesla's server remotely that unlocks then transmits to the car and unlocks, whereas the phone key on the Model 3 is actually a low energy Bluetooth key. So when you're disabling that, you're not so much disabling the app functionality as you're disabling that low energy Bluetooth functionality of the phone.
Okay.
All right.
Interesting. Okay. Well, Speaking of adding functionality, Tesla announced this week that they were going to expand more aggressively than they have in the past. Something really cool, a very cool program that they have. Now, everyone's familiar with the supercharger network. There's lots of maps and everybody knows where they are, and you can find them in your Tesla and all of that. There are urban superchargers, then there's destination chargers, right? That's all pretty clear. Tesla's adding a new version to the mix they called the workplace charger, and this is basically destination charging that Tesla works with companies, businesses, to provide free charging for either their employees or their guests. These chargers will not appear on the supercharger map. These are the kind of thing that, like, you know, you go to the restaurant and boom, there it is. Oh, wow. Okay, we can plug in. Or you go to work and wow, all of a sudden we've got a Tesla charger at work now. So this won't expand that network, but obviously it will take pressure off the network and provide additional charging for people in different venues that they haven't been able to get at before. I think that's really cool.
Absolutely. That expands people's range of that car, allowing them to, pick up a charge while they're sitting at work. The car's going to sit there for 6 to 8 hours anyways. Why not be picking up a charge?
Sure. And again, whether you're visiting a hotel or a restaurant or you're at work, I don't want to get to the thing where I'm saying the more chargers, the better, but in some ways, the more chargers, the better, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially if you own a Tesla. What are you watching, Evan? Please tell me.
I'm looking at the story, and I'm just I knew about this, and I'm like less than excited about it.
Why?
Well, because it's sort of an unnecessary thing. I guess it'd be nice if a business does it, but when I drive my 12 miles to work, I don't really need a charge, and I'm going to be topped up in 20 minutes or 30 minutes on the destination charger once I do get to work. So now you got people pissed off because somebody's hogging the charger all day and they needed to get on the charger. Blah, blah, blah. And then you got to convince businesses to pay for fuel for EVs when they're not paying for fuel for gas cars. And why do those guys get to have that? And then the other part that I'm like just sort of a little baffled at is, well, they may not put these on the car map and their list of destination chargers. They're all going to show up on PlugShare and the other available apps. So so now are like the general public going to be showing up and using the chargers, and they're going to have to lock them down and have key. It's nice, but to me, it's not a big thing.
Okay.
It sounds to you that it's more of a pain than it is a nice thing.
Well, no, I think,
it will become a pain.
I think it's a nice thing, but I suspect adoption isn't going to be huge. Maybe some smaller workplaces that really have a focus on energy efficiency and promoting that kind of thing. Maybe at businesses that have gated parking lots and things like that, so the general public isn't getting on there and using them. Things like that. So I don't think it's a bad thing, but it's hard to get too excited that it's an important update to the Tesla charging network.
God, you're grumpy.
Fuck you.
I'm glad I'm not the grumpy guy tonight. Thank you, Evan.
I heard it was Grumpy Guy International Day today.
No.
So.
No, sir. No, sir. Well, speaking of grumpy guys, no, wait, this has nothing to do with grumpy guys. Mark has a really cool story about speed time, the dynamometers. Yeah.
Yeah, the dyno machines. Our friends over at Drag Times got themselves a Model 3 and were able to put it on the dyno machine and pull up some actual results. So there they are, hooking it up, strapping it down, and then running it on a few runs so the dyno could collect the data. And the car was able to produce a couple times 280 horsepower at 552 pound-feet of torque, which is quite impressive. Now, it's not Model S impressive, but it is quite a step up for this size of car. And people had previously done a dyno. Some other group had done a dyno, and the numbers were just crazy high. So that's why Drag Times decided to get one and test it out, because they've done S's and X's and accurately have been able to figure out what the HP was and the torque, and they wanted to set the record straight. So anybody with the larger battery can expect about 280 horsepower and 552 pound-feet of torque.
That's pretty impressive, I guess.
It'll put your head back into the seat, Russell.
Yeah,
no problem.
Exactly. Well, and Tesla's not just about speed. Tesla also is sometimes about going off road.
Exactly. So a gentleman who owns the X and is actually from the Toronto area is a photographer and works to collect information or photographs from adventure type groups. And he decided to take his X on a 500-mile off-road adventure between Jackson, Wyoming and Casper, Wyoming. Wow. Traveling through basically the Badlands, I would assume is what this area is. And he's got this great video that we're showing now.
There you go. Just little bits of it. We're going to run through it randomly.
Yeah. And he's out there filming bicyclists who are, moving from different forms of transportation, from kayaking to bicycling. He's kind of like an Ironman type thing with bicycles. And there's the map.
Wow,
of it,
that is a rough trail. Okay.
Yeah, and he was warned against taking an electric vehicle along this route. And the gentleman fashioned a trailer. There you can see the Ontario license plate on the trailer. Nice. And he took the car, obviously in normal routes from Toronto, supercharged it all the way, got down into the area of Jackson, had to find some creative charging solutions that made sense. Obviously, did some overnight staying outside of the supercharger network.
Look at all those spaces he's taken up, though. What's up with that?
It's a trailer hog, yes.
Yeah, one of those guys.
So he was able to traverse almost the entire route. There was one point in the video where he had to turn back because he didn't necessarily want to cross a creek that was in front of him that was a little bit deep. So he was concerned about maybe getting stuck or partway through it. But it's a great video to watch and gives some insight as to what the Model X can do. And it gave a number of great scenery pictures of the car going through the Badlands.
I like the bobblehead on the dash, number one. And I do want to say, of course, thanks to Adventure Art on YouTube. That is Adventure Art is the channel. You can see the whole video there, and we encourage you to visit them.
Very good.
There you go.
I gotta say, as adventurous as he was in general, he kind of wimped out on that creek. That was not man, put that suspension on high and go for it.
Dude, you really want
so there's a guy that's what 3,000 miles from home, and Evan's saying just ramp up and go for it. Just go for it.
There. It handles water all right. Yeah, you've seen some of the stuff Bjorn Nyland.
Yeah, and you saw what happened to Bjorn's car too, didn't you?
He might be a little insane. Okay, just well, speaking of things we have on video, I'm going to get off the screen here and share something with you. Something that was seen in Sacramento, and for those of you not familiar with Sacramento, it's about an hour and a half inland from Fremont. And wait. Oh my God. What in the name of all that is good and decent is that? Yes, that is the Tesla semi-tractor driving down the highway. I believe that's 80. Yep, that's 80 from Sacramento, headed towards the Giga Factory. We guess, we assume, we don't know, but there it is. And yeah.
So that would be a surprise, driving on 80 and all of a sudden the electric transport buzzes by you.
Yeah, I mean, a big semi comes silently up next to you and goes, oh, wow, okay, well, that was so. I mean, it's unique enough to definitely report, that yeah, there's one out there and it's driving and they're doing something with it.
Yeah,
it didn't have a trailer.
Few different colors of it out there. So we've seen the black one on residential streets or industrial streets around Fremont. But as we know, Tesla is going to be its own first customer with these rigs.
Yeah.
So they are going to be transporting material back and forth, and that will probably be the first run that they're on is between the Giga Factory and Fremont. So they're probably testing the route.
I am dying to see one of these things with a trailer on it. And, start to hear about what it was. Of course, we probably won't know what's in the trailer.
No.
Still, you want to see one with a load driving on the highway and go, okay.
Exactly. Or one of those maybe high-power charger stations in between somewhere. Tesla maybe plop one down just to have a safety net somewhere halfway along the route. So that'd be cool to see a mega charger, too. Yeah,
you do go over the Sierra Nevadas on this road that thing was on. So to get to the Giga Factory, you have to go over those mountains. It is not all just nice flat San Joaquin Valley. No.
Right.
So I look at that and my first thought was, where are the batteries? I mean, it's kind of, I don't know. I guess I expected some sort of an obvious-ish looking platform or spot where they would be in there, and it was kind of hard to tell exactly how that structure is laid out.
I believe it is between the front tires and the set of dual tires at the back. I think that is the battery cavity.
Okay.
Normally where fuel would sit in a regular truck, but this takes up more space. Fuel doesn't take, the complete space underneath it. You see larger trucks that have a dual fuel tank system on both sides. And I think the battery is like some sort of a maybe double or triple pack placed in that section. But again, speculation just from the fairing that I see on the truck.
Right.
Interesting. Well, our next story doesn't involve products. It involves people.
People, and a lot of people. It was reported that Tesla had posted approximately 2,500 jobs in 2017. And it turns out there's a few people that were looking for those jobs. In the order of 500,000 people applied for those 2,500 jobs in 2017. So I'd like to open it up to the other panelists as to why there's 500,000 people looking
who would
for
want to work for
jobs.
Tesla.
Apparently, a lot of people.
Gotta be crazy. Well, I mean, look, obviously, jobs aren't all that easy to find. Tesla's a pretty cool company. It's a good reputation and all that. So, yeah, I mean, would you rather work at Tesla or, I don't know,
Walmart?
Yeah, Walmart. Thank you. I don't know. I don't know that that's the choice, but in some ways, I'm kind of, this is sort of like a non-story to me. Like, okay, they got a lot of applications. They hired 2,500 people in 17. Right on. Okay.
That's a lot of applications.
Yeah, like it's like that would flood a department, like to the point where it wouldn't be functional. Like, I can just imagine the amount of people, and then think about those people that are following up and calling and trying to figure out if someone's looked at their application. Like, it would be crazy.
It is. I just want to say it is painfully clear from this conversation that neither one of you have applied for a job in the last 10 years. Okay. Is that a fair way to describe that?
That would be fair. Yeah.
Well, I sort of have, but
No, you haven't. Yeah, it's only 200 people per job. It's actually really low. I mean, as someone who's recently relocated and had to go through the job market and that grinder that is, every company uses digital sorting of resumes online before they even get to the HR human. These documents, whether it's an online form or something that scans your resume or that you input in and then analyzes it, this stuff, 80% of those things get rejected before it even gets to a human.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know Tesla's hiring system per se. I don't know what systems they use. I'm generalizing in the sense that I put out a ton of resumes and didn't hear jack back from most of them. And that's just the way it is, I have some friends in HR and other companies, and they tell me that they scan the stuff. And if there's like one mistake, boom, you're out of the queue. Doesn't matter. You're out of the queue because there's 15 other people that didn't make a mistake that they can look at.
Okay.
So, but that's 200 people per job, right?
And you don't think that's kind of high?
No, 200 people per job. That's low.
Okay.
I mean,
really?
Honestly, like you literally put a job out at most places, and I don't think 200 applicants per job on average is high at all. I'm not running down Tesla. I'm just saying I don't think that's super high. Not this year.
Okay.
All right.
Like
So we'll just mark that as a non-story and move on.
Non-story. Damn it.
Well, I since it's about Tesla and jobs and hiring, I'm going to take one little side rail on this. Tesla finally, at long last, bless President Elon, hired a service tech for Springfield. He's not,
and it's Evan.
No, it was about to be, man. We were getting desperate. He's not going to have a brick and mortar shop to work from, but apparently there's some fancy new Ranger trucks out there that are better supplied than the current standard ones that are out there. And they anticipate he'll be able to do about 80% of the service that needs to be done here. And when he can't, they're not going to charge us the Ranger fee to trailer the vehicle up to Kansas City to get fixed. So we're very excited about that in this area because it's been a long time coming. And I think that will do a lot to kind of expand the Tesla market down here because it's actually pretty big already, given that it's 200 miles to the closest service center, and knowing that they'll be able to get service locally and not have to pay Ranger fees should really open up the market quite a bit more. So,
very good.
That's my tangent.
And like chargers, it's what Tesla has to do if they want to sell more vehicles in those areas. That's without a doubt, they need to expand their presence in that manner. So yeah, cheers to them. That's beautiful.
And David asked from the chat room, is that an electric Ranger truck, Evan?
I'm highly doubtful.
No, aren't they using like Ram ProMaster 1500s or something?
Well, there was talk that they were going to recondition some Model X's to be able to do some Ranger work. I just don't know how much.
Yeah, I don't know.
So, David, we don't know.
Evan will find out as soon as he has a problem. Well, there was some other news this week that had nothing to do with problems, but had to do with something special that was unspecified.
Well,
is that me? Am I supposed
to? That's you.
Oh my God! Here I go introducing the story, and it's okay. So you may remember from the Model 3 fracas that Elon had promised something special, quote unquote, for Model 3 reservation holders who waited in line to get to order their deposit on the Model 3. Deliveries have obviously started and been going on for months now, and we're starting to see that ramped up, but we haven't seen something special yet. We don't really know what it is. And guess what? We still don't know.
But we got a pretty good idea, don't we?
We have a good idea. There was a tweet 2 years ago that suggested that a scale Model 3 might be the prize. And Elon tweeted back again 2 years ago almost 2 years ago, that, yeah, maybe a scale Model 3 and a few other things. So I know that Model 3 reservation holders got a special print. Am I right?
Correct.
Yep.
Thank you. And it's possible that there'll be maybe a Matchbox car or a different scale, replica of the Model 3. But the truth is we don't know what it is yet. There were some reports that some retail employees were confirming that there was a miniature die-cast version of the Model 3. But, employees say random things sometimes. That's all I'm going to say.
So take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah. Yeah. Take it with a big grain of salt. Let's see what happens. I mean, it's cool and everybody's looking forward to it. And I think it's great. Time to open up and own up to it, Elon.
Well, hopefully someone will get one soon and the cat will be out of the bag.
Yeah. Yeah.
My last story of the day is about the Giga Factory in Nevada, Giga Factory 1. And what has happened recently is a military photo was unveiled showing in the upper right-hand corner a small square of reflective items on the roof. And in the zoom, you can see that these are clearly the start of a solar array going on to the Gigafactory 1 in Nevada.
It's actually Elon suntans.
Exactly. So this suntan booth is going to be at some point covering the vast majority of the entire rooftop. As we know, the Gigafactory 1 is not even its full size yet. It's still just a partial size. But eventually, Elon has indicated that the entire factory will be powered, by this solar array that will be located on the roof. So it looks like maybe the Buffalo plant is starting to pump out some massive amounts. Maybe it's not even made in Buffalo. We're guessing, but the roof is starting to take shape. So it'll be a different looking roof going forward from the white one that we're familiar with. It'll now be filled with solar panels. So glad to see it started, and it'll be interesting to see how long it takes.
And all those people out there waiting for their Tesla solar panel roofs are screaming.
They're screaming, "Where's mine?
Yeah.
Damn it!" But I think these are different types of solar panels, to be honest. It's not, obviously the roof tiles that look nice on homes. These are probably purposely built for an industrial function. Yeah.
Yeah. Those are, that's not solar roof. Those are solar panels.
So the people waiting for their home ones, this is not stopping them. These are other panels. So calm down on the revolution at this point.
Evan, I've totally skipped over you like twice. So Evan has a couple of really good stories. Do you mind doing the upgrade one?
Sure, that's probably the best story, I think, at least of the most interest. A Reddit user posted a brief story about how he had recently upgraded his used 2014 Model S 60 kilowatt car. There is a what do we call him? Let's call him a fanatic, a Tesla fanatic in Florida, who's for a long time been on Tesla Motor Club. He's kind of a tuner gadget guy who spent a long time investigating just how the Tesla works and how they put it together. His name is Jason Hughes. He goes by WK057 on both Tesla Motor Club and on his Twitter handle. It's WK057. And he and a partner recently started a business of upgrading vehicles with apparently Tesla parts. And that's one thing I actually have not had a chance to talk to him about yet, exactly what they're using. But they are very recently opened up their business. And this gentleman brought his Model S60 from California to Florida and had it upgraded to a Model S performance 90 kilowatt vehicle for about $17,400, which sounds like a bargain to me. And so far seemed very happy with it. He drove it all the way back home from Florida to California and was thrilled with the performance, how fast it charged, and the range that he got out of it. So anyway, this is kind of an interesting thing. You know, I think a lot of us kind of were hoping for some sort of aftermarket type options. I think there's still a lot of questions to be answered, and we're hoping to get Jason on the show sometime soon here to kind of maybe answer some of those questions. I don't know if he's using OEM parts or if he's found a manufacturer and he's using a different motor manufacturer for the motors than Tesla uses, or maybe it's the same manufacturer but sold separately. I don't really know. And likewise with the batteries, I don't know if there's Tesla cells that he's using, if he upgraded the 60 to a 90 with just an extra 30 kilowatts, or if it was a total battery replacement. I'm just not really sure what the details are of those sorts of things, but definitely pretty exciting to think that there's potential to breathe new life into some of these older cars. As someone who has one of the older cars, I would like to breathe new life into it at some time.
Yeah. I mean, and as more and more of these cars are out there, obviously third-party manufacturers can potentially make money selling upgrades. Whether, again, it's the new front fascias or battery upgrades or motor upgrades, all of that stuff. And that's the awesome thing about that, is that these cars aren't like use once and throw away. You know what I mean? I'll say this, and some of you will prove me wrong probably, but I mean, arguably easier to upgrade these vehicles in some ways mechanically than it is a standard car.
Yeah. So, 010 asked the same question that I had. It's like, I don't know what this does to your vehicle once you've had these upgrades done, because these aren't only parts that have to be changed out. There are significant software changes that have to be made to adapt the vehicle to that. And I don't know if you continue to get over-the-air upgrades from Tesla, or if once you've done something like this, if your ability to get it serviced and updated and things like that is totally gone, and you're kind of hanging out there on your own, as if this was a totaled vehicle that they're no longer going to have anything to do with. So lots of questions. I hope to get Jason on to answer some of those questions going forward, because it's interesting, it's exciting. I'm out of warranty on my car, so I certainly wouldn't mind doing some of this, assuming I can continue to get service and over the air upgrades. If I can't get service, boy, that would be pretty scary, because it quits working and you're done. I mean, Tesla's often said they want to be different. They want to be different from all the other companies, and this is their chance to prove it. Yeah. Yeah. Will they support this kind of work, or will they do what most other companies do and go, we're not interested in? Right. So anybody wants to follow Jason's handle on Twitter is WK057, and he posts fairly frequently on Tesla Motor Club. And then the name of the company that they formed, and they've got a website. It's HSR Motors, and I think it's just hsrmotors.com is their main website, and they also have a Twitter handle there. So, and interesting stuff. I really look forward to following more of this and see. But for the price, man, that's hard to beat. If they're dropping in a new pack and a new motor and upgrading you to performance for $17,000, man, that's a tempting treat right there.
I was just going to say, Evan, you're tempted, aren't you?
I am. Oh. Not at a point just yet to do it, but definitely an interesting option.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, can we talk briefly about the other article?
Yeah. So the other article was in the Detroit News, and it was a review of the Model 3. And coming out of Detroit, Motor City, a car like a Tesla, you might expect a pretty harsh review. They couldn't stop glowing about their Model 3. They were exceptionally impressed. This was a story by Detroit News Auto critic Henry Payne. He obviously knew what he was doing in the audience he was speaking to in this, but he was extremely impressed all across the board. So there, you know, the story itself, there's not much in there that's new. It's pretty standard stuff describing the controls and the center display, but he went on about how this is what makes sense. This is where we should be moving. This is like a smartphone, the way it updates and the user inputs and the change to the cockpit that makes it make more sense. But you know, he talked about the performance. He compared it directly to the Cadillac ATS and how much faster and more fun it was to drive than that. So you know, that's I was just surprised to see that. I think it's pretty fascinating that he was willing to post that in there. I'm sure he's going to catch some crap from the local businesses,
or he's already not employed at the paper already.
And the other side of it is, or the other company is going to be like, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't. I don't know that's maybe not. maybe he's just right, and they don't really have a choice but to deal with it.
Well, just along that same line, there was a report on Autoline, which is I think it's a weekly podcast about Detroit area manufacturers. They got themselves a Tesla Model 3, and when first examining it, they kind of slammed it for its obvious missing things, such as the back doors not having an emergency release to get the door open, and some other items about, you know, where to cut the power supply. There's no real if a first responder arrives, they, you know, besides having the manual, there's no real obvious place to do it, and the place to do it is a little bit complex. So they got slammed by people writing into them, and they took the car then out to actually test drive it, and then they came back with a glowing review about how the car operates and what the differences are in torque and the ability for the car to drive so nicely. So there's some people that you know, once you use the car and once you operate it, some people are getting different opinions of it. So it's good to see that at least that's shining through.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Well, Mark, this is where I check in with you.
I wanted to have one extra thing, but I don't. I was hoping to get another update on a VIN number, but we still have the same old VIN. 8225 is the highest VIN that we have a record of. Yeah, so we'll wait till next week and see what we can come up with.
Give everyone a reason to come back next week. That's okay. You go. Evan, any shout outs this week, my friend?
No, I will do this only because I was directly encouraged to from some folks in the chat room, but today is the last day for the chance to drive the Tesla Semi. Share your code. Patrick shared his a couple on the Tesla Life page on Facebook. So if anybody has not yet signed up for the Tesla newsletter or bought your Tesla, please feel free to use my referral code. It's ts.la/Evan4452. ts.la/EVAN4452. So there's my shout out. One and only time.
4452. Evan 4452. Burn that into your brain. And of course, if Evan gets a free car, we all get to drive it.
Yeah. So, but the big thing is, if you're not already subscribed to the newsletter, they really only send them out about once every month or two. It's not going to clutter your mailbox and get a chance to drive a Tesla Semi. So, how fun is that?
Absolutely, Mr. Coughlin.
Just a note to everybody. Again, if you're watching the podcast and you haven't subscribed, please press the subscribe button. Help us out. Connect, and then you will get automatic show updates when the show starts. You'll get prompted on your smartphone to remind you to jump in and watch the show live, as a number of people in our chat room are, which I'd like to say hello and thank you to all of you for joining us tonight.
Yeah, very active chat room tonight.
Exactly. So that's fantastic. Love the questions and information that flowed both ways. Also, feel free to go to the Facebook page, press the like button, and help us out that way as well. So that's it.
All that stuff is super important. Subscribing on the YouTube channel helps us enormously, and of course liking us on Facebook just gives us a little more reach, and actually just gives us another reason to live one more week. and I may only be speaking for myself here. I may not be speaking for Evan and Mark. I understand, it's okay, but you know, otherwise, so like the page or I'm dead, you know. So, that doesn't make you feel guilty. If you're a heartless, soulless zombie, just ignore my please subscribe on YouTube. Look for the Tesla Life show, the little cute red logo, and click subscribe because there are imitators.
And share it with a friend or two, please.
Yeah, please do. My thanks. I'll reiterate the thanks to everybody in the chat room. I didn't follow the chat room this week, as I usually don't, because I get too distracted. But thank you, everyone in there. That is awesome, and I'm glad Evan was here to kind of bring that stuff, and Mark to bring that stuff into the show. That's really cool. Evan and Mark, thank you. I'm trying to think of what else.
How about Lee?
Oh. This is show 43, and I'm still not in that groove. Thanks, as always, to Lee Moon, the man who composed, performed, and allows us to play his music as our theme music. That's Lee Moon. He is an amazing individual. So thank you, Lee, for that. Thanks once again to all of you for watching. Tune in next week and find out what is going on in the Tesla life.